You can go from looking to looking holy shit in 6 weeks. Not a joke. Sounds salesy and sounds like a bullshit. Something or other fitness channels would say to rip you off. I swear to God, this shit really actually works. Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization, and today I want to talk to you about the TIA mini cut, a special type of mini cut, which is already special, I guess. And it's up to some really cool things. Here's the deal. Mini cuts are often looked at by folks who haven't looked into it much as ways of getting shredded fast. And that's not entirely wrong, but it's not entirely correct. The original purpose of the traditional mini cut is to prepare you for more muscle gains right after. How mini cut accomplishes this traditionally is by first having low training volume. You don't want to train a ton, just at maintenance volume or so, because you want to reduce the amount of training volume exposure to increase the sensitivity of your muscles to muscle growth training and high volume training, such that as you finish the mini cut, you really become sensitive to muscle growth from that low volume exposure. When you start your hypertrophy muscle growth training again right after to potentiate for gaining even more size, your sensitivity to muscle growth training is going to be really, really high. So that's a great thing. You won't see a whole lot of changes during the mini cut, but afterwards you will grow a lot of muscle. It's a delayed response. Second, you want to do not so much cardio, because if you do a ton of cardio, it turns out it makes your legs more resistant to muscle growth than if you don't do a ton of cardio. That's not ideal. Also, cardio increases the fatigue you experience. We do a mini cut to prepare us for another really, really productive multiple week cycle of muscle gain phase. We don't really want to be too fatigued coming into that. Now, something has to happen. Body fat has to come off, so the deficit is going to be really large. You're going to lose between 1 oftentimes and 1.5% of your body weight weekly. That's at least the goal tissue-wise. The reality is your first week you might lose 5 or 10 pounds on body water alone. And every single one of those weeks in the mini cut is going to be somewhere, depending on your body size and the particularities of your goal, 500 calorie deficit per day. So that means if you eat 2,000 calories a day, normally you would eat something like 1,500, all the way to a 1,500 calorie daily deficit, which means if you normally eat 4,000 calories, you could be eating 2,500. Rough. And lastly, these mini cuts tend to be 2 to 6 weeks in length, often 2 to 4 weeks in length, just to burn enough body fat off, really reduce the desensitization, increase the sensitivity to hypertrophy training, and get ready to do another. You're essentially clearing the runway for another muscle gain phase. That's really cool. We have a ton of videos on how to do that, the particulars, the specifics, how to be successful. But the TIA mini cut stands for Temporarily Improved Appearance Mini Cut, is a little bit different. Its job is not to prepare you for muscle gain phase, not at all. Its job is to take a 3 to 6 week period. And because you are very constrained in that time, we're going to have to do some kind of crazy stuff, nothing dangerous, just tough and unsustainable by definition, in order to accomplish the task which the TIA mini cut is absolutely designed for. And that task is to try to look as lean as possible in the shortest time that you can look. Something like a weekend where your ex is going to be. You guys rented a cabin with a little beach and a little boat. A few crocodiles have been deposited into that lake to make things fun, you know? You can film your own version of Lake Placid, the movie, on your iPhone as the crocodiles shred your lower limbs and you gargle all the way down to the bottom of the lake. Oh, that turned rather dark. As dark as the bottom of a lake is typically. In any case, you're out there, you're with your friends, and you want to be able to impress at least 2 people. One, your ex, that fucking bitch. How dare she break it off with you? We're just going in different directions. Bitch, I'm gonna show you direction. Lean. Then you'll be upset that you broke up with me, maybe. And the other person you want to impress upon with your new lean appearance is the boyfriend, right? How dare he voluntarily interact with someone who is single? Which is to say, steal property that used to belong to you and really in some moral sense still does, your ex-girlfriend. How are you going to impress these folks other than with as shredded of an appearance as possible? But just like she used to do you back when you were dating, the girlfriend only sent you the invite 4 weeks away from the event. Damn it, But no, TIA mini cuts can help. How can they help? What are we supposed to do about this so we can have shredded abs and tell Jenna and Eric that they suck and then push them right into the mouth of an awaiting crocodile? Well, here's the deal. First, high training volume. Why? You want to maintain as much muscle mass under an extreme cardio, high cardio environment, and low food environment. In order to do that, you have to crank the training a ton to counteract the muscle loss signaling. You have to boost the muscle growth signaling. You won't gain a ton of muscle mass, maybe a little bit, but what you'll do is run those muscle growth processes so fast that the muscle loss processes countervailing them via the super high cardio and the super low food can't keep up, and thus the result is at least your muscle mass stays the same and potentially even gain a little bit. This will beat you up and make you really tired. More on that shortly. In addition, high cardio. You're trying to burn as much fat as possible with a short time. That means typically you want to aim for 10,000 daily steps or more, maybe even something like 15,000 daily steps. For some of you, that sounds insane. It's going to shred you up. For those of you that doesn't sound insane and you do it all the time, try 20,000. I know it sounds nuts, but a high step count is actually not overly fatiguing. Can you do it for a few weeks? Yeah, hell yeah, you can. Can you do it for a few months or years? Gee, that might be tough to do. So far, we crank the training volume, regular high volume training, as if we're on a hypertrophy phase. The physical activity / cardio is going to be kind of as much as you can sustain in 3 to 6 weeks. Figure it out for yourself, but it's generally somewhere between 10 and 15,000 daily steps. And the deficit is just the same size as in the mini cut as far as food being cut, but the resultant caloric deficit may be even higher because of that increased cardio and that high volume training. So you take your food and you drop it by 5,000 to 1,500 calories, depending on body size, goals, etc., and then you run with it. And by run, I mean waddle over to your chair and collapse halfway through each day thinking, why the fuck am I doing this to myself? And then you remember that bastard who took your girlfriend and those crocodiles, so hungry for his flesh and hers that you need enough willpower just to push them. And the way you're going to push them is you're going to do an ab shot. They're going to get mystified right there on the docks of the lake. And then bam, both of them go into the crocodile. Mission accomplished. That mission is going to take you 3 to 6 weeks. That's how much is often required to make a really awesome visual change. It's a little on the longer side. It's not 2 to 6 weeks. You can do a TIA mini cut to temporarily improve your appearance in 2 weeks. Fuck, I'll be completely honest with you. You just often look flat and miserable and tired. But 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and if you can manage it, 6 weeks, 6 weeks of this is going to be both really pushing your limits psychologically and physically, but also cause a drastic change. If you think about it, even if you hit about 1% body fat loss per week for 6 weeks, which is entirely reasonable in the short time mini cut, you can drop 6%, fuck it, let's call it 5% of your body fat in 6 weeks. 5% body fat takes you from 13%, which is pretty damn lean for a male and looks pretty good, to 8%, in which case you'll have veins on your abs, surely enough veins on your abs to impose upon your ex-girlfriend that, bitch made a mistake. She should have been with you. And now she's with Pudgy McPudgerson. And even though he's a nice guy, treats her well, remembers first and last name, sometimes her middle name, and even knows when Valentine's Day is, nothing you could have done with yourself. He doesn't have veins on his abs. So fuck him and come back to me, Jenna. Just come back. No questions asked. I always loved you. I told you as much. And if you don't come back, crocodiles. So what are the upsides and downsides of taking this approach? Well, the upsides are pretty obvious. If you can drop 5% of your body fat in 6 weeks, that sounds pretty fucking sweet. That means you look way different and quick. You can go from looking to looking holy shit in 6 weeks. Not a joke. Sounds salesy and sounds like a bullshit. Something or other fitness channels would say to rip you off. I swear to God, this shit really actually works. Especially if you manage your fluids appropriately, which means that in the 2 weeks out from where you need to be, you raise your salt by doubling it. You also raise your fluid roughly by doubling it, or basically drink to thirst, but your salt is going to go up so much, you're going to be way thirstier. And you continue to run this high salt, high fluid environment until a few days before the actual trip or event begins. Then a day or two before, probably about a day and a half, you drop your salt back to normal levels And you drop your fluids back to normal levels, which is going to flush you out, which means on the day of the event, you are going to look stripped and ripped and all that good stuff to generate maximum jealousy. If you want, in that last day and a half, you can also increase your carbohydrate levels, eating clean carbs only, clean being in scare quotes, but basically healthy carbohydrates, fruits, grains, and veggies and stuff like that. If you increase those without increasing the salt, keeping salt normally even lower, what ends up happening is the carbs go to your muscles, they drag a lot of water from your body into your muscles, you look poofy, bubbly, and shredded at the same time. It's like a mini contest, and you show up Saturday morning, everyone's at the beach, your shirt comes off, oohs, ahs, halfway chubbies from the guys that thought they were straight, but have never seen a six-pack like yours. And the ladies, I would get into the physiological responses, but we're not that kind of YouTube channel. We just get canceled instantly. In any case, good things, I'll put it this way. No, I shouldn't. Yeah, fuck it. There's a certain amount of fluid in the lake across from your cabin, but that's not the only fluid going on right now when your boy takes off the abs. Scott, the video guy, why do you only laugh at the most perverted shit? What's wrong with you? All right. There are downsides. So the upsides is you look like Thor. Amazing. Downsides. It's really hard. You are going to be pushed to your limits every fucking day. So if you have like work deadline, special work project, special school project, and then you go to this little summer house with your friends, you might not be able to be successful at life, or nearly as much so if you do a TIA mini cut all the way in. So make sure you have that bandwidth. Next, it drives your hunger signaling up like crazy. So you might be able to diet for a wedding, look amazing, and then at the wedding, eat everything, including half of the father-in-law's leg, and end up regaining a bunch and being bloated and miserable. That's definitely a concern. Another thing is it drops your energy level so much because it's so fatiguing that if you're doing this to increase your energy for some kind of fun party, and you're saying, hey, we're going to go to the lake, I'm going to show off my abs. And then once it comes down to showing off your abs and playing frisbee with the guys, you guys know when just a bunch of guys get together, hey, it's all fun and well. Nobody's having any weird thoughts. And they just only in their board shorts, and they're like in this lake water, which is mostly pristine, but like about a foot deep. And the foot deep part of the beach goes for, like 50 feet or so. And the guys, just a couple guys, no big deal. Everyone's having fun, no big deal. They just get together and just toss the frisbee around. Their bodies are moving, glistening under the sun. And the way they just run to the frisbee, they illustrate their youth and athleticism. And there's nothing unchristian about that at all. And you're there watching them and going, damn, wait a minute, I did the TIA mini cut. I'm one of the guys, I'm ripped, let me go play frisbee. And you realize as you're running to the beach that you don't want to run anywhere or move or talk to anyone because you're so fatigued, you just go, and you go back and lay down and get some sun. Nothing wrong with that, but if you like to be active and like to have fun, do not TIA mini cut into an active fun event, or just be aware of the fact that your energy level could be a huge crash. Lastly, after you finish it, it requires a whole week or 2 weeks of easy training and plenty of food to heal your diet fatigue in order to get your body back from this crazy high fatigue state to actually have productive training and dieting afterwards. This is not a sustainable way to do things. It's an emergency, break the axe open with the glass and fire shit. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's just an emergency thing you can do if you have very small amount of warning and you have to have ripped abs. I'm not sure exactly how many situations in life really are like that. But again, if you get invited to a lake in upstate New York and there's crocodiles in there and you have to impress your ex and her current new boyfriend, give this TIA mini cut some thought. Just understand that if you fall into the crocodile lake, you will not have the energy to get out. The crocodiles will eat you, but will be disappointed with how you taste because you won't be very well marbled anymore because you'll be so goddamn lean. And shit, maybe they'll even spit you out and say, hey, go get fatter and come back and get eaten. But your ex, she's getting eaten like crazy, which I guess is sad because you still loved her. But if you can't have her, nobody can, except for the crocodiles. They can have her to consume, potentially date if crocodiles do that. What am I even saying? And here's the thing. If this all sounds pretty complicated, how do I set up the deficit? How do I set up the surplus? Give this some thought. If you download the RP Diet Coach app, shameless plug, you can actually just program it for 1% loss per week for 4 to 6 weeks, and it'll tell you meal by meal with meal reminders, time by time, day by day, how to eat exactly, and it'll update the diet for you so that you can actually get as lean as possible, because sometimes eyeballing all this is really tough, especially if your diet fatigue is high. Give that some thought, do your best, and remember, don't really push people into crocodiles' mouths. That's a bad thing. People are friends. If you like more friends, we have a membership side of the channel, which you can instantly subscribe to for slightly more money, and the huge upside is that you get extra content every week. If you want even more content in interaction, in lifting technique corrections, tons of tips, free products and services, then the Team Full ROM forum is right for you. That is in a link below, almost certainly. See you guys next time.